Hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you might be in the world. So, everybody knows how this works. Please let me know that you can hear me okay. Give me some thumbs up in the chat or spam your favorite emoji or, just do something to let me know that you can hear me okay. I am super exhausted, but I need to do this stuff so that way I don't fall too terribly behind on things that I want to do. And awesome. It looks like everybody can hear me okay. So cool. Well, we're now in my office. The last live stream I did was in my garage where me and Jesse practiced for the Texas State Open. I'm sure everybody's wondering how I did or how we did. Which wasn't very good. Both of us had a fairly tough draw for this event. If you remember last year, Jesse did make the final 32, where I was eliminated one round right before the final 32, so I didn't make the money. And this year, we both went the same amount, which is just 3 rounds in. So for myself, I had lost my first match to the defending champion, Vitaly Patsura, who came in second place. He actually lost to Tyler Steyer in the finals. I lost 9-1, which I didn't really care that I lost 9-1. I just was basically disappointed that I didn't put up as much of a fight as I would have liked. There were some opportunities that I had to where, I could have lost like 9-4 or 9-5 had I not blown the opportunities that was given to me. But I wasn't playing very good on the first match. Could barely string together 2 or 3 balls. And then on my second match, I did happen to win 9-2. I was playing up against a lower Fargo rated player than myself. And with that, I was able to capitalize on the opportunities that were given to me. And at least during that time, I was able to play so much better, and I won 9-2. And then the unfortunate part, well, hello, I had a little visitor there. The unfortunate part after that was that match was done somewhere around, it's basically like later in the afternoon, like around 5 or, no, actually, no, I take that back. The second match was somewhere around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. When I had started, my first match was like at 10 o'clock in the morning. So almost 12 hours, close to 10 to 12 hours had elapsed before I played my second match. And then I played my third match at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I can't really use that as an excuse because my opponent was also there until 1 o'clock in the morning. But what I can say is, yeah, I was pretty exhausted by 1 o'clock in the morning. I was playing up against a 700 plus Fargo rated player, so at least on paper, I'm not favored to win. But lo and behold, I didn't win because I had lost 9-3. And that loss is basically disappointing, just like the first loss. Now, it's not disappointing that I lost. It's just disappointing that I did not perform to my own expectations, to where had I lost in that match, I still had a lot more opportunities, just couldn't capitalize on them like I did on my second match. So if I would have lost maybe 9-5, 9-6, I would have been okay. I would have been more okay with the loss than I was. Jesse's match, all of them were actually wonderful to watch because they were all comebacks from behind, which was really interesting because he had won his first match. And when I was watching, he was down in his first match, like 5-0 or 6-0 or something like that. I couldn't really remember, in a race to 9. And he managed to come back and win his first match, like 9-5 or 9-6. And then his second match was up against a very notable player by the name of Cash Keaton. And I think it's a young up-and-coming kid that's been doing really, really well. And, on paper, I think we both thought that he wasn't favored to win. But when Cash was on the hill, Jesse made like a hard comeback and made it hill to hill, only to lose on a fluke. And I don't know how best to describe the fluke, other than Cash was on a run out and he set up for a combination for the 9-ball to go into the side pocket. So if y'all can visualize what I'm describing here. So he's got a back cut shot on the object ball in order to back cut the 9-ball into a side pocket. And when I say back cut, I'm not talking sharp. These are like very subtle back cuts that you have to do for a combination. Cash hits the combination, but the 9-ball hits the bottom point of the side pocket and then rolls up to the adjacent corner pocket for the win. me and some buddies were sitting in some bleachers because the bleachers were right next to the TV table, and Jesse was actually on the table that's kind of in front of the TV table. So if you were watching the stream on Pool Action TV, he was more like in the background. And when Cash had made that fluke 9-ball combination, like the whole crowd was like, "Oh, what in the world!" Like, what a way to lose the match after making such a wonderful comeback like that. But then, just like myself, Jesse had to wait until like 1 o'clock in the morning, just like me, to be able to play his third match. And it was pretty much the same thing where he was down very far. I might be misspeaking here, but I think that match went hill to hill as well, as Jesse tried to make a comeback, but then just wasn't able to close it. So both of us only went 3 rounds deep before we got eliminated. And then shortly after the Texas Open, we had the Bad Boys Billiard Productions BCA state event at the Mayborn Center in Temple, Texas. I had a buddy of mine ask me to partner up with him in Scotch Doubles 8-ball. This is a buddy of mine that I've worked with in the past. We both worked for the same company, and then he eventually moved on to another company. And he has played on my APA teams for the past 5 years. So, it's basically one of my students. I'm his coach. And out of 70 teams, we actually did fairly well. We exceeded our own expectations because we managed to place 7/8 out of the grand total of 60 teams. So I thought we did very well in that aspect, considering that we've never played Scotch doubles together. We had a couple of practice nights to where we were trying to figure out, how we were going to shoot, what we were going to do, what was our strategy of going into the gameplay. And to do that well was awesome. And that's all I did at the Bad Boys events, because there was like 9-ball singles, but you either had to do the 8-ball Scotch doubles or the 9-ball singles. You couldn't do both. They had a teams event that was going on during the Texas Open, so I couldn't participate in that. There was also an 8-ball singles event. Couldn't participate in that because I had to go back to work. And then at the ending weekend, they attempted to do a brand new like Mosconi Cup style team event where I think you have a team of 4. And in the first round, all 4 players will play each other in like, player 1 plays player 2. They do some sort of swap round robin fashion where every player will play once. And then during the second round will be some Scotch doubles events where like team player 1 and team player 3 will be one team, and then another team on the other team, and you'll play some sort of Scotch doubles event. And then you kind of just rotate after that. So the best thing that I like to report about the 8-ball singles event was my buddy Daniel, that was my partner for 8-ball Scotch doubles, because he played in the bronze division, which is Fargo rate 475 and below, and won the entire event, undefeated. I got to watch it on the stream, and it was so funny because I was confused because the stream made it look like that it was a race to 5. And so when Daniel was up 4-2, I'm all kinds of excited because I think he's on the hill. But then only to find out that he had actually won the entire event. So I was very proud and very pleased to see him do so well, especially after only playing for 5 years. Okay, so that's what I've been doing, and then of course after we were done with Scotch doubles, I pretty much just started going back to work, and haven't really been able to do anything. And the stream that I'm doing now, I actually was supposed to do yesterday, but I had fallen asleep by the time it was time to stream. Now I'm trying something new here. I don't know if you can see this here, but I've actually got viewer counts here, and I don't know if my Facebook viewer count is actually accurate or not. I'm actually really not sure. I can see that I have a chat message on Facebook, so I know, for example, Scott Kevin is letting me know that he might be able to hear me, but he can hear me. So I'm not sure what I might be doing wrong as to why the this little counter here is not working. I've been actually pulling a couple of ideas off of the Post Up YouTube channel, if anybody's familiar with that channel. And I'm actually friends on Facebook with the owner of that channel. So I've been trying to pull some ideas from him on how I can try to increase the quality of the stream, and then use this little widget here that lets me know what viewers that I have on stream without actually having to look on my browsers or anything. I'm actually going to try something to see if this is going to let me do what I think it's going to do. And then Laura Berg, thank you so much for being here on Facebook, and thank you for letting me know that you can hear me okay. So yeah, I might have something wrong that's not showing me how many viewers. And actually, I can see that Facebook is telling me that there are 8 viewers watching me. So I don't know why the widget isn't doing what it's supposed to do. So eventually I'll figure that out. Got new stuff going on, so don't know if all the new stuff is going to be working appropriately. And now I got a whole bunch of people just showing up on Facebook. So this is awesome. Okay, let's see here. Let me real quickly go through my sponsors here. I'll do them one by one as they begin to scroll by. So we have Onboard Sportswear. They are the makers of the jerseys that are used by the Mosconi Cup players. And if you are a league player or just want to have your own customized jersey, like I have here with my new logo and new designs and stuff. This is all black and red because I love red. So you probably can't really see all that much, but I did finally update my logo to include the 14 ball since I play a lot of 14-1 straight pool. But I also have team jerseys that we wear on my APA league nights. And so if you think you might be interested in wanting to get a set of jerseys for your team, you can check out their website, onboardsportswear.com or onboardsportswear.us if you live in the United States. And if you use my discount code LilChris10, you can get 10% off of your purchase. And then I'll go ahead and talk about what's on the screen right now. Moonlighting Billiards, they are the company that makes these cutout templates for you to be able to perform line drills. That's using their drill partner. You can set up 9 balls in a nice straight line anywhere on the table. And then they have their Road Edition, which is just another cutout template where you can set up 3 balls at a time in a straight line, or a curved template where you can actually place 2 balls. The curved template and the 3-ball template actually come in 3s. So if you were to take the curved template and put them side by side, you can have 6 balls in a semicircle pattern that you can place anywhere on the table. If you visit their website, moonlightingbilliards.com, and use my discount code LilChris10, you can also get 10% off your purchase. Just do note that on their website, you'll also see a scoreboard that they have there. My discount code does not apply to the scoreboard. It only applies to the drill partners, whether it's the 9 template one or the Road Edition. Let's see what else. Oh, Outsville. They are the makers of the Accu-Rack. So if you want to have the perfect rack where all the balls are frozen, it doesn't matter if it's 8 ball, 9 ball, or 10 ball. They have templates for all of the above. And I just recently acquired their Ghost Rack that I'm going to be putting on my table here soon. So I'll be able to hopefully showcase that off the next time I play straight pool. But if you visit their website, outsville.com, I do have a discount code with them for their Accu-Racks and only for their Accu-Racks. It's Lil Chris, Lil apostrophe space CHRIS. You have to spell it out just like that, because otherwise the discount code does not work. But that discount code will get you 10% off of your purchase. Let's see, what else? I did see that JFlowers did show up, because I am now newly sponsored by them. I use their cues. I have a set of cues that I use in my garage for YouTube, and I have a set of cues that I use when I go out in public. If y'all are wanting to know, do they outperform my my Predators that I've recently used, or any of my old cues that you can now see in the background? They all feel the same to me. I don't really feel a difference between one or the other. I have talked about before in a previous live stream where the cue that I use in my garage has a Taom Fusion tip on it, and the Taom Fusion tip on a 12.9 JFlower shaft, to me, feels better than the Taom Fusion tip that I had on my 12.4 Revo when I was shooting with the Predator Icon. You can even hear in that live stream Jesse's testimony. And I also see this. Where did the comment go? JFlowers now sells carbon fiber shafts by themselves. I know a lot of people have been asking about that, and they're finally in the process of doing it. But the moment they started doing that, they actually have some new carbon fiber shafts. The two new ones are the Crown, and the other one's called the SMO. Both of which are supposed to be of lower deflection than the original JFlower shaft. Now, I personally don't know that, but I do know that I'm going to be getting these shafts, so hopefully I'll be able to perform some tests myself. But I have seen videos of where the SMO carbon fiber shaft does have according to the video and according to the tests that were done, does have a lower deflection than the Revo, than I think the Mezignite. I think the Q-Tech Synergy was used in the test as well. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting to be able to see if it really holds up to itself. And if you're wondering what SMO stands for, well, if you remember, part of the pro team includes Earl Strickland, S, Rodney Morris, M, and Dennis Orcollo, O. The three of them actually had some input into the design of the carbon fiber shaft, and so they named it after them using their last name initials, SMO, which I actually think is really cool. So yeah, if you don't want to buy an entire cue now, you can actually just get the shaft. I do believe they offer it in the common radial 3/8. It's either 3/8 or 3/810. I can't remember. Off the top of my head, you'd have to check out the website, JFlowersCues.com. What else? I know. Okay, so I just saw the ICA training system, and I have a very important announcement about that. So the ICA training system, I was actually gifted the ICA training system, but I had to buy the projector. And after getting everything set up, the owner gave me a discount code, LC. If you go to the ICA training system website and use that discount code, you'll get a flat $50 off of either the bundle system, which includes the Raspberry Pi and the software, a couple of cables, like HDMI cables and USB cables, and a Logitech keyboard that has a built-in mouse. You can get $50 off of that, or you can just purchase the software itself, which comes on an SD card, in case you already have all of the equipment that you would need, but you just need the software. You can use the discount code LC and get $50 off. Not a percentage discount, just a flat $50 off. And I think the last one that isn't on the screen yet, though, is TaomBilliards. Because I am sponsored by them as well. I wear their gloves, I use their chalk, and I use their tips. So you heard on my cue that I have in my garage has a Taom Fusion tip, but the cue that I shoot with out in public has a Taom Pro Soft. And though they are comparable, I can honestly say that I do prefer the Taom Fusion tip that I have on my cue, my JF 2021. I do actually prefer it more than the Taom Pro Soft that I have on my actual playing cue. I just don't know whether or not if I want to switch my playing cue to use the Taom Fusion yet, even though I do have that option. Okay, so I think that's it. So what are we doing here today? Well, if anybody recalls, I had recently started playing in a Double Jeopardy APA format. And Double Jeopardy basically means that you play both 8-ball and 9-ball in the same night. And I do have some matches of those to review, because now I'm playing 9-ball again, because it's been forever and a day since I've played 9-ball. But before I start reviewing those matches, I want to go ahead and finish up the matches that I have of where we were just playing 8-ball on a single night. And so I have 3 of them. And normally I just review 2 at a time, but now I have 3 that I'm gonna go ahead and try to knock out tonight. So those matches will be done. And then the next time I review any of my APA matches, it's going to hopefully include 8-ball and 9-ball. Because even though it is Double Jeopardy and we play 8-ball and 9-ball at the same night, there might be some nights where I'll just play 9-ball and that's it. Or I'll play just 8-ball. And then, of course, there'll be some times where I'll be playing both 8-ball and 9-ball in the same night. So my team has been pretty excited about that. We've already been playing for a couple of weeks now, and I do have a couple of videos reviewed or recorded, so I'll be reviewing those in the future. Okay. So I think with that being said, let's go ahead and move on over to the first match to review. All right, so here we are, and before I get started, I do want to see if I can fix the Facebook widget. So give me just a second here. I don't know what it's going to take to get it working, but I do want to try. Let's see if I can get it working. Because if I don't get it working, then I'll end up contacting Post Up and letting him know, hey, like, how is this supposed to work? Because I know it works on his stream, but for some reason it's not working on mine, for whatever reason. And that didn't look like it did anything. So fantastic. So the Facebook counter is always going to say 0, which is wrong, because I know you lovely people are there. Let me just check one more thing, and then we'll get to this. I don't know what else to do since it doesn't appear to be working. So we're going to switch back to this. Yeah, okay. So the Facebook counter is going to be 0, even though I can see on the Facebook browser that there are 12 of you lovely people in here. And actually, Scott, Kevin, you're saying that there's 13 of y'all currently watching. So I really do appreciate it. Okay. So in this matchup here, I am playing up against a skill level 7. I do believe this is a skill level 7 that has been on my channel before. And so the race is going to be straight race to 5 on this one here. And so what we're going to do is, this is for anybody that's new to the stream here. We're going to watch my match, and I'm going to attempt to commentate what I was thinking about, even though this is a very old match. So I'd be surprised if I can remember everything that I had done in here. And then, of course, try to commentate on what I think my opponent might be trying to do. And then, of course, we can pick apart if my opponent makes a mistake or if I make a mistake. We can try to pick apart how could we correct the mistake. And I usually try to get the viewers involved in here. So there'll be a point to where, like, there might be, hey, let's see if we can figure out a pattern that allows us to get out from here. And the viewers can chime in on what pattern they think should be shot in what particular order. And we just kind of we just troubleshoot everything. So that way, not only should reviewing this match benefit me, for me to learn from my mistakes, but if anybody is suffering from the same mistakes that you're going to witness during this match, you hopefully have some ideas of how you can improve on making those mistakes less and less. I hope that makes sense. So let's get started. Let's see who's going to break first. It looks like me. I'm the one lagging with the 2 ball. It is me. All right, so I'm going to put a little asterisk next to my name so we know that I'm the breaker. And then let's go ahead and just fast forward to where I'm breaking. Okay, so in this match, or during this session, this is where I was always attempting to make the 8-ball on the break. So normally I would break somewhere closer to the center of the table and perform the pop break and try to get the cue ball to squat near the center of the table, spread the rack open, and then be able to hopefully do a break and run. But this was during the session where I wasn't doing the pop break anymore. You'll always see me break from the side. I'm trying to contact the ball that is in the second row, which is right here. And the spin that I'm putting on the cue ball is something like this, a little bit of bottom left. So that way, hopefully my cue ball will come over here and then spin back towards the middle of the table. Now, if I happen to make a ball and the cue ball is in the middle of the table, then I at least have a pretty strong advantage of being able to control the entire table. But a lot of times when it comes to the 8-ball break, a lot of the balls just get pushed over into one direction like this, and then they start working their way back over here. So a lot of times the second ball break can actually have just a bunch of clusters. But then sometimes the second ball break can have just a very beautiful spread and everything will just be wide out in the open. Now, then there's also sometimes when you perform the 8-ball break, the 8-ball is usually guaranteed to move out of the rack. And as you see here, slowly but surely, I make the 8-ball on the break. And that is an automatic win of game or win of the rack, so long as I don't scratch. So instantly, I'm up 1-0. So let's see if I can repeat that. Because I'm going to be doing the same exact thing over and over again when it comes to breaking. Let's watch that 8-ball. And look at it go towards the side pocket, but it gets blocked by the 9-ball. So I don't make 2 in a row. But look at the mess. Look at this garbage here. This is what I'm talking about when you perform the second ball break. Is a lot of times you can get a mess that looks like that, and that's ridiculous. Now, I did break dry, so my opponent gets to come to the table. And because of where the cue ball is at, which is right here, he doesn't have a whole lot of options. It looks like he might just end up taking the 3-ball. Oh, but an unfortunate scratch as the cue ball comes off of the 3 and then even billiards off of the 5-ball right into the corner pocket. So that's 1 inning, and now it's my turn. So for those that are new to my stream, what I like to do when I come to the table, and this is basically every time that it's my turn, there's only one small difference, and that is here at the beginning of this turn, it's an open table. Usually when I come to the table, like after my opponent breaks dry or my opponent breaks, they might already claim a set, run a couple of balls and miss, and then I come to the table with whatever set that I'm supposed to be. I'll do something a little bit different. But in this instance here, since it's an open table, what I end up doing is I observe where every single solitary ball is on the table. I do this every time. And then from each set of solids or stripes, I try to assess, well, which one is going to be the easiest for me to run out, if they're even runnable. Because sometimes the layout of the table can just be so bad that it would take just a bunch of hero shots in order to be able to try to run the table. Now, believe it or not, this one really just doesn't look all that bad. I'm trying to remember if I actually took solids or stripes, because I don't remember. But if I were to take solids, for example, this is the most troublesome ball here, the 1 ball being tied up next to 2 different stripes. And because that ball is there, I would want to try to free it from the cluster as soon as I possibly can. And since I have ball in hand, I actually have an opportunity to be able to do that. And what I would most likely end up wanting to do is to make one of these balls here, the 5-ball, the 2-ball, or even the 7-ball. And after I pocket them, try to drive the cue ball into this cluster and move the one ball out into the opening to where it's hopefully makeable into a pocket. If I do end up choosing stripes, well, stripes would basically be the same thing, right? I have to be able to get these two stripes away from the one ball and hopefully not be able to create a cluster. And what ball might be able to do that? It would be the 11 ball. I could shoot the 11 ball into either of these corner pockets, this one being this corner pocket here being the most accessible. I would probably attempt to do something like this, where I shoot it in like this, and then try to get my cue ball to bounce out like this to be able to break this open. But that's what I at least observe here. I honestly don't remember what I chose, so let's watch what I did. But I can tell you this. This is exactly what I'm thinking of, regardless if it's solids or stripes. All my attention is on this cluster right here. Let's see which one I choose. As you can see, look, I still have the cue ball in my hand. Like I'm trying to figure this out. I'm not instantly just putting the cue ball onto the table. I'm not instantly just shooting. And look, even after I put it down, I pick it back up. Like I actually take a pretty good significant amount of time, usually on my opening shot, to try to plan sometimes an entire run out. So this is where you'll see me take the most amount of time. But then once I get going, it's usually just shoot, 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 shoot. Just so long as I end up getting the transitions that I'm looking for. So I take down the 5 ball. That looked like to be just a little bit of draw. And now that I know that I'm solids, that means I'm probably going to try to shoot the 2 ball next and then break open the cluster at the same time. That most likely has to be done with some topspin here. Okay, so the 1 ball is freed, but look what happened. I created another cluster, right? So this doesn't do me any good here. All right, so the 2 ball went down. So now things might get a little crazy here. It's do I stay in aggressive mode and try to figure this out, or do I go into safe mode and play a safety? Now we can see it looks like I'm coming down here to shoot the 4 ball. What am I attempting to do here? 3 rails around, that had to have been with some bottom right spin. Oh, and that must mean there's a shot here. As I come around, you look and see that you can barely see that I'm right here. I have a 7-6 combination that I can attempt to play, which means I can drive the cue ball hopefully back over here to open up the 1 ball. This must be done with some topspin. But I missed the combination. If I had made the combination, look at least what happened. My 1 ball is now out in the open. I can't play the 7 ball next. I would more than likely have to play the 1 ball, get position on the 7 ball to either the corner or the side pocket here, and then play the 8 here into the side pocket. Now, this is where I'll open it up for the floor. What do y'all think my opponent should do? Do we see an opportunity to run the table? Or do we see an opportunity where we should play a couple of balls and then maybe play a safety? What does everybody say? Let me see some suggestions. I'll take a couple of suggestions from here. What do we think? Because I personally think we have the run out option. I mean, all the balls are pretty much out in the open. The most troublesome ball is the 9 ball. But other than that, I think everything else is okay. I think the 15 ball passes by the 8 just fine once you remove the 12 ball. Chris Schneider, you're saying 1768. That is my run out. It's not my turn. We're looking at stripes right now because it is my opponent's turn. And then when if my opponent runs out or if my opponent misses, we don't know what I might be able to shoot at from here. But everybody says, it looks like I'm seeing a consensus that everybody says that the table should be ran. So if I were going to attempt to run this table, the 9 ball to me needs to be the priority. I need to get that ball off the table as soon as possible. And it seems like I should be able to do it right now. So if it were me, I would attempt to shoot the 12 ball in and try to hold the cue ball right here in order to shoot the 9 ball into the corner and then float on out for the 15, maybe in the side. And then that way, this whole troublesome area is solved. I can try to float the cue ball up in here and then solve the last remaining stripes in order to be able to run the table. That's at least what I see. I don't think I would want to risk an opportunity to try to get back into decent position in order to be able to get position on the 9 ball. There are other options. I'm certainly not suggesting that my option is the only option. Let's see what my opponent attempts to do. Starting with the 12 ball. So he's wanting to come and probably deal with these 3 immediately. So I'm not entirely sure I completely agree with that. Though, if he gets underneath the 15 ball somewhere right around here, he can shoot the 15 in the side, float forward to the side rail, and still be able to shoot the 9 ball. That is a possibility. It's just that it looks like he's going to be saving that to the end. And though it's an option, you were already in position where you could have taken care of the most troublesome ball right then and there. So why pass up that opportunity? Because if you get the wrong position on this 15 ball, or just any ball for that matter, like it becomes so much more difficult to get position on the 9 ball. So there is an opportunity here where this run could break down. But let's see what my opponent decides to do here. I would tend to think from here, he needs to shoot the 14 next and then use the 11 ball to try to get slightly underneath the 15 ball, like somewhere in this region right here. Okay, my opponent is agreeing with me so far. It's like I don't see the 13 ball, so that needs to be gone. So like here is a critical move, right? If he doesn't get the position he needs on the 15, I mean, maybe he can try to get position on the 9, and that looks like what he's trying to do, but, oh, I don't know if he got it. Like, that could have been a good moment there if he would have gotten position on the 9, but hopefully now you see what I'm talking about. So where his opening shot, in my opinion, gave him the best opportunity to be able to get on that 9 ball. He chose to do it later, which is clearly an option. I just think it gets a little bit harder to be able to do that. Let's see if he got it. Nope, you can see he had to rail first the 9 ball in order to be able to hit it. So I hope what I'm saying here makes sense, to where if you can identify what your trouble spot is, like your trouble ball or troubled balls, you do want to try to solve them as quickly as you can if you're able to do so. Like if the table allows you to do so, and if your skill allows you to do so. So now back to me. Hopefully everybody could have seen, like, I do want to illustrate this. Like, why did I come over here and why am I coming over here to do this? Because I am looking to see what my next shot is going to look like before I shoot my current shot. Because once I came to the table, actually, I think even Chris Schneider, you already had a message saying, like, this is the order that I should shoot in, 176, and I see Craig's already got it as well. When I shoot this 1 ball in, I'm looking to see what type of angle I'm going to have on the 7 ball, and it's actually the perfect angle that I can have, because my cue ball from this position here, anywhere in this area here, my cue ball can hit the 7 and then just roll down here for the 6. It doesn't matter what I do for the 6 ball, that's going to allow the 8 ball to go into the side pocket. So what you see me doing here, by going over to where I believe my next position is going to be and seeing what my next shot is going to be, if this is something that you don't do in your game, I guarantee you it will be very useful and very valuable that you do this from time to time. Because what would have happened if, say, for example, the 7 ball was right here, and I do the same thing and go, well, if I shoot the 7 ball now, my cue ball goes this way. And I need to know that prior to shooting the 1 ball, so that way I know how to play the position. Maybe I still want to shoot the 7 ball in the side pocket if it were here, and I still want my cue ball to float down this way. And if that's so, that means I can't stop the cue ball somewhere right around here. I got to get the cue ball like somewhere over here in order to be able to play that very similar shot. And I won't know to do that unless I do this step here. And let's go over, look to see where I believe my next shot is going to be and see what my angle is going to look like. So I hope that makes sense, everybody. Now, the funny part is I can do all this planning all I want and still miss. So let's see what happens. Got to be some sort of stop shot based on what I did. That's a little bit of draw, not a perfect stop shot. And then that way from here, I should just be able to just roll the cue ball down to the bottom rail after contacting the 7. And see, after that, it doesn't matter what I do. Let's see, what am I going to do? A little bit of draw, maybe? Yeah, and just come off the rail and then play the 8 ball into the side pocket. Yeah, exactly, Chris. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Isn't that a Mike Tyson quote? All right, so that allows me to take that rack down, and I'm now up 2-0. Let's speed this up and go to the next break. Let's see if the 8 ball moves on this one. Yeah, see? Look at it. Like, you're almost guaranteed that 8 ball is going to get dislodged from the rack every time that you do the second ball break. The time that it doesn't move is probably because the rack is just terrible. Like, there's just too many gaps, especially there's too many gaps around the 8 ball. And so when the balls are broken apart, like, all the energy, like, literally just spreads out throughout the 8 ball, and the 8 ball doesn't move. All right, so what happened here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I'm still at the table, that must mean I'm solids. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't see the 5 ball. So holy crap. What do we do? What do we do here, folks? I'm solids. I have to take solids since in APA, for those that are not familiar with the APA league format of the rules, you play the set that you make on the break unless you make one of each, at least one of each. So if I were to make 2 solids and a stripe, the table would be open. If I make a solid and a stripe, the table would be open. But if I make just solids, doesn't matter how many balls I make, just solids, then I'm forced to be solids. And if I make just stripes, then I'm forced to be stripes. So when you look, like I said, I come to the table and I look where every single solitary solid is. And as you can tell, it doesn't look like I have a direct shot at any of them. Clearly, I can't shoot at the 2 and 3 because it's blocked by the 8 and the 14. It doesn't look like I can clearly see the 4 and the 6 ball because they're blocked by the 11, and I can't see the 7 and the 1 because it's blocked by the 13. Now, I might be able to do, like, you know, a 1 rail kick to be able to hit the 4 or the 6. That is clearly an option. I might be able to do a small curve, or like, what does everybody see from here? I can honestly tell you here, Ron Johnson, that I can't see the 6 because I do remember what happens in this particular rack. I literally cannot see a ball. I cannot shoot the cue ball straight at a ball. I have to go into a rail first. And Chris Schneider, you could not be more correct. On a 9-foot table, there would be less clusters on the table, even if you do a second ball break, because there's more real estate for all the balls to be able to travel around, and they would eventually settle in on whatever it is that they're going to settle on. So I see some options here. I see some focuses on the 1 ball. I see kick the 4, Craig says. Kick the 3. That's risky, kicking at the 3 ball. Well, here, let me show y'all what I did decide to do. Now, I wish I wasn't actually in the camera because it would be more apparent on what I'm about to do if you can actually see what I'm doing here. because that was a planned kick shot on the 1 ball. You didn't really see what I was doing here, but when you look and see that the cue ball and the 1 ball are almost in a straight line. Almost, I mean, it looks like the 1 ball is slightly above the cue ball, but because they're almost in a straight line, when I came over here at this point, I'm actually looking to see what is the midpoint between the two. And then I kick pretty much at the midpoint to know that the angle coming into the rail is going to be the angle coming out of the rail, which should put me in a very good ballpark of either hitting the 1 ball, let alone making the 1 ball. You just can't see what I'm doing. You might be able to see a glimpse of my cue. Never mind, you can't, because I had already picked up my cue off of the table. So a very soft roll kick shot on the 1 ball to be able to stay at the table. No spin whatsoever. All right, so it should be pretty obvious what I'm going to do next. The 7 ball is staring at me in the face, right? But the 7 ball is blocked by the 6 ball. So what do you think I'm going to do here? Okay, pull off a 7-6 combination. What am I going to do with this mess over here? The 2 and the 3. I can't shoot the 7 ball now. Now it looks like I can shoot the 4 ball. Get a little love off of that 7. I honestly don't know if the carom off the 7 was intentional or not. I can't remember at least that far. I like this suggestion here. Duck, sway, bob, and weave. This was on my mind to carom off of the 2 to make the 3, but I can see enough of the 2, more than enough of the 2 to be able to play a combination. So that way I push the 2 ball near the darn pocket. Now what? Now you see that right there? Look at what I'm doing here. Some more planning. Do I really want to try to get the cue ball somewhere over here eventually to play the 8 ball into the corner pocket? And if the answer is yes, well, how do I do that? That means I have to shoot the 2 now and then try to use the 7 to get somewhere in this very small window. Right, off the 7. If I can land somewhere in this very small window, then I can shoot the 8 ball over here. But you can see I'm shooting the 7 ball now. So what in the world could I be thinking about? Well, you can't really see because it's dark, but I am standing right here. And I'm looking at the 8 ball. And I actually spot something when I'm looking at the 8 ball from here. And when I spotted what you're going to see here, that's why I shoot the 7 ball next instead of the 2 ball. So a little bit of topspin because I got to come off the side rail and I got to get underneath the 2 ball so that way I can get the position that I want. Now now you get to really see what am I looking at? What was I doing here? After I shot the 7 ball. Now that I've got position on the 2, when I did this, what am I looking at? All right, I already see it. People are already talking about it. John Caldwell saying off the 9. Wipe him good, 8 off the 9. Everybody's saying off the 9. Y'all got it. This is pretty much what I ended up doing. I remember. This is from the break. Kick shot. Combo. Another combo. And then the carom shot. 4 shots during this rack. Let alone cue ball placement. All right, so there we go. You can see here, I'm calling the 8 ball in the side pocket. Now, mind you, this is APA, and normally in APA, you don't call the 8 ball. You're actually supposed to take a personal object of some sort and place it next to the pocket that you intend on making the 8 ball, which is indicative of or indicating that you're calling the 8-ball to that pocket. But at the local league level, most of the time the players will end up agreeing that you're able to call the shot, and bam! What a way to be able to break and run that rack there, to be able to go up 3-0. And so what you have to remember when you in APA is that when you're not playing at the local level, because there is a thing called cities, there's playoffs, there's tri-cups, there's nationals, there's regionals, there's all these different levels above the local league play where you must mark the pocket with a personal object. Only at the local level have I ever seen where players can actually just say, call the 8-ball. But now, with that break and run, I'm up 3-0. So we've got an 8-ball break, and we've got a break and run so far. I believe that's referred to as a mini slam in APA. And once again, look at the 8-ball. Now, I lost my cue ball a little bit because my cue ball is not supposed to be behind the rack. But I think I did drop a ball. So what did I make? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not solids. 9, 10, 11, 13. I don't see the 12 ball or the 14 ball. So those must be gone. All right. So once again, when I come to the table, what do? Where is every one of my stripes? And is there an issue with any one of these? Well, technically speaking, this one might be an issue. It looks like it goes here into the side pocket, so might be okay. And this one might be an issue, unless, of course, the angle to go into the side pocket is actually decent. I'm not very fond at shooting at side pockets, especially when there's angles going into the side pockets, because it's just very easy to hit the points of the side pocket. But as Fuggles me indicates, there's the opening shot is actually the issue, because the only opening shot that I have is to be able to shoot the 11 ball here into the corner pocket like this, knowingly that my cue ball is most likely going to run into the 8-ball, and I don't want to accidentally make it anywhere because then I lose. But then to be able to figure out the rest of the rack from there. So right now, this is all that I should be focusing on. Making the 11 ball, getting the cue ball to hopefully land like maybe near the center of the table after I billiard off of the 8, and then come up with the rest of the plan after that. So close to the pocket. This is probably just a rolling shot with no side spin. And I don't end up cutting the ball enough. All right, so now my opponent gets to come to the table with solids. And this is kind of the same question, right? Is there any issues with solids? And again, technically speaking, maybe not. Right? We can maybe make an argument that the 6-ball might be an issue, but the 6-ball does look like it passes in the corner pocket. Now my opponent decides to start with the 3-ball, it looks like, but I want to back him out and actually look and see, should we be starting with the 3-ball? I always like to double check to make sure, is there a better opening? I think we might be okay here. I think with starting with the 3-ball, it looks like my opponent should be able to just roll the cue ball up and maybe get position for this 5 or this 1 ball. And from the 5 or the 1 ball, he can get position on the 6, hopefully to go here into the side pocket. And then the rest is, I think the rest is solved from there. Because from what I see, this is the priority. I got to figure out how to get position on this guy as soon as possible. And then the rest of the rack should be solved. Let's see if my opponent decides to do that. Oh, he soft rolls the ball, but does not cut it enough. And so you can see he's got position on the 5 or the 1. So hopefully that's what he had in mind. But he's got to be able to make the ball in order to stay at the table. Now, fortunately for him, he doesn't leave me a whole lot of options. It looks like the only ball that I can still see is the 11 ball, the ball that I previously shot at. What am I going to do here? Stop shot? I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be a stop shot, but then it ended up turning into a drag shot. The backspin was gone by the time it reached the 11 ball, and that's why the cue ball goes forward. I do at least have a shot at the 13 ball or the 9 ball. Looks like I'm going to go for the 9 in the side. Probably some top left spin to get the cue ball off the side rail and back towards the middle of the table, like this. But now the question is going to be, what do I do next? I would think it has to be the 13 ball. I would think from the 13 ball, I would want to attempt to get position on the 15 ball like this. And if I just roll maybe just a tad bit too far, then I can still shoot the 10 ball as a backup shot. But I definitely want to be able to try to get to this 15 ball because it's blocked. It's the only place that it can go is here into the side pocket. Let's see if that's what I do. There I am again, right? Planning on what does my next shot look like. Very important to add that to your pre-shot routine from time to time. You don't have to do it every single solitary time, but from time to time, it would be very important to do that. So I didn't bother trying to risk doing some big movement, but here it is. I have the shot. I can try to shoot the 15 ball into the side pocket. It looks like my cue ball should get stopped by the 6, or maybe like it's going to glance off the 6, but I'm going to hit this soft enough to where hopefully it doesn't glance too far. And I should still have a shot at the 10 ball. Oh, I like this. This is from Hasuku on YouTube saying, thanks for my videos. You've already made a bump to a 4 and 9 ball and made MVP in your league. Congratulations. I really do appreciate that. Glad to know that my stuff is helping somebody else out. Hey, there we go. So now I would have to think, look, again, more planning. Where do I want the cue ball to be? I need to be somewhere down here so I can shoot the 8 ball into the side pocket. How do I do that? This looks like it might be a 2-railer. High inside 2-railer, maybe even a 3rd rail if I hit it hard enough. Maybe a 4th rail. So let's see, 8 in the side. Oh no, 8 in the corner, never mind. Oh, I end up overcutting the ball. So what's all that running out for if I don't end up finishing the table? So now this is the interesting part, right? This should be no matter what your skill level is. I talk about this a lot to where, let's say I would have missed the ball before the 8 ball. Or let's just put it this way. How many times have y'all played your matches, if you play in the APA or just play 8 ball in general? How many times have y'all ran to like the last ball on the table that you decided to leave on the table because it was in a cluster, right? So you just completely ignore it. And so when you run the table and you get down to that last ball, you go ahead and shoot that ball, break up the cluster, so that way you don't commit a foul or whatever. And then now you're in a position where you have to chase after that last ball. Because when you're in that position, the only way you're able to get a shot at that last ball is that your opponent has to miss so badly that they give you a shot at your last ball. Or in my case, my opponent has to give me a shot at the 8 ball. Technically speaking, when you think of that scenario, you should not win that scenario. Like from this point here, I should end up losing. If I don't lose from here, that means I got lucky. I got lucky that my opponent must have lost his cue ball control and didn't transition where he wanted to. I must have gotten lucky that they've missed and I have a shot at the 8-ball, because unless my opponent safes me, and think about it, if I'm going to get safed in a position like this, that must mean I'm going to have to kick at the 8-ball. And if I happen to kick the 8-ball in, then, I mean, okay, I end up, earning that victory because my opponent allowed me to come to the table under their condition. They didn't allow me to come to the table because they made a mistake, right? So I'm stressing this point because I want y'all to realize that you need to understand that if you can't run the table, you shouldn't just arbitrarily be shooting the balls in that you're able to shoot in, because you end up decreasing your chances of being able to come back to the table and have a shot. If you think about the scenario that I described. So I hope what I said makes sense. Let's see if my opponent can capitalize on my mistake here, since I didn't run the table from here. Now the 2-ball is going to be a tricky ball, right? Because it's blocked by the 8-ball. So the 2-ball to me kind of becomes a priority. Like I would almost want to shoot the 7 in right now and get in position for the 2. But then even these guys might be an issue here. Oh, they're not so much an issue now. That was actually a really good shot. Oh, does the 5-ball squeeze past the 8? If the 5-ball squeezes past the 8, I definitely want to get position on the 2-ball here. He's thinking, does he draw back for the 1 or the 6, or does he follow for the 2? I want to get position on that 2-ball. Okay. So then you see, he doesn't disturb the 8-ball, so there was more than enough room. Let's see what happens here. Probably should be marking off the balls that he's been making. Usually I forget about doing this stuff. Plays the 1-ball, has an angle on the 6. So if my opponent gets out from here, like that means this is a pretty decent table run here. But do we see where this run could literally break down, like right now at this particular moment? Right, shoots the 6 in, gets okay position on the 2, right? Gets okay position on the 2. Do you really want to have to back cut this 2-ball bridged off of the rail? Oh, but he nailed it, so who cares? And then takes down the 8-ball. So I don't get a 5-0 victory against this, but let's look at this. Let's look at this part right here. Like I said, I'm not taking away this run from my opponent because this is a well-earned run. But do we see where the run could have broken down at this particular moment? We already saw that when he played the 6-ball, he left himself in a position where, I mean, he could miss the 2-ball, having to back cut the 2-ball like this. And then what would happen if he hit it too soft and landed right here? Now the cut shot on the 2-ball becomes really difficult. I mean, he might elect to end up banking the ball. So doing something like this, clearly though, it's an option, and clearly it worked. I'm just suggesting that I just don't think that this is the optimal way of playing this particular pattern. I think using the majority of what my opponent did, I think the optimal pattern is right here. I personally would have ended up playing the 5-ball into the corner and then following forward for the 2 right now. Shoot the 2 into the corner pocket and then come out for the 6 or the 1. After that, everything is easier, in my opinion, and less prone to mistakes. This is where I would end up changing the plan, because I think this plan, if I were to ask my opponent to set this run out again and do this route, I would tend to think they would be more successful at doing this route than trying to do the route that they did. Now, they did it, right? They did the route that they planned on, so who cares, right? They won. but I don't think you want to always try to leave your hardest ball for last. If the table allows you to do it, because sometimes you might have to do this type of route. It all depends on the layout of the table. It really just depends. But we can see that there's a couple of times, because we even see here, like there was a moment like right here when he shot the 7 ball. He could have gotten position on the 2 ball as well. But if he had done that, then I don't know what he might have been able to do with this 1-5. So when we go back to here, like I said, I think this is just the critical moment where we could have done a more optimal pattern decision that is likely to be more successful. But once again, you choose a different pattern. It's a pattern that's successful. You earn the win. So that's all that really matters. So I hope that makes sense, everybody. Go ahead and fast forward through all of this. That back cut shot on the 2 was really good. Okay, my opponent's going to go for a second ball break. Look at that 8 ball moving. Got some balls dropping. All right, let's see here. Oh, holy crap. Is this what I think it is? Dustin Dover, did you just send me some stars? You're watching on Facebook. Is that what that icon? No, that means it's an anniversary follow. Okay. Oh, I mean, nonetheless, if you just sent me some stars on that, I literally would have had a heart attack. But yeah, here we have somewhat of a similar agreement on whether or not if we end up trying to be. Oh, you did send me some stars. How come I didn't see a notification? More things that I have to figure out when it comes to troubleshooting my stream here. But thank you so much for that, Dustin. I do remember you because I remember when I met you in Vegas when I was there. I really do appreciate that. All right. What did my opponent make? 1, 2, 3. This is the 4 ball. No, that's the 4 ball. 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's not solids. I'm solids. If he's still at the table. I don't see the 9 ball. 1, 2, 3. So the 9 ball's gone. My opponent is Stripes. And Stripes looks terrible. I don't know if Stripes is runnable. What do y'all think Stripes is runnable? I mean, one could argue any layout is runnable if you're good enough, but let's be reasonable. Do we think Stripes is runnable from here? I mean, clearly it looks like my opponent is settling on that 13 ball. Okay, 13 in the side. That hopefully allows him to shoot this ball here. I'm more concerned about this area right here. What's going to happen here? Looks like he should be able to shoot this ball in. I don't know if he's going to foul. But never mind, he's going to take the 15 ball. Takes the 15. Looks like he might be trying to solve that 14. But was unsuccessful. So at this point, who still attempts to run out from here and who decides to stop? I'm really curious to see of my viewers. What do y'all do here? I know there's got to be some of y'all that would say, screw it, I'm going for it. I'm going to figure out how to play. And there's got to be some of you that says, nope, I'm done. I'm going to figure out how to play a safety. Show of hands, everybody. Who does it? Because me, I'm stopping. It looks like he's going to do something with the 14. What is he going to do? I like that. I like that decision. I really like that decision. Takes my ball off the table. All right, what do we do here? See, look, what am I doing? Walking around the table, right? I have a clear, obvious shot. I have the 4 ball and I have the 2 ball. 2 clear, obvious shots that I can literally just walk right up to the table and just start shooting. But I don't do that. Always look around. Acknowledge where every ball is at. Figure out which ones are troubled balls, and then figure out how you're going to attempt to solve them. So clearly, this is one of them, right? Because I can't shoot the ball back here, and there's no way I'm going to be able to shoot the ball over here. And the other hard part is, there really isn't a ball that allows me to move this ball, like, easily. Like, could I get the right angle on the 4 ball and attempt to draw into this? Sure, but I'm not at that angle to do that, right? So trying to deal with this ball right now becomes very difficult. So I'm not sure what to do. And then let alone, I'm not sure what to do with this guy. Now, I might be able to break him out right now by shooting the 4 ball and then maybe trying to follow forward in order to hit this. Like, that might be a possibility if this angle here isn't too sharp. But we'll have to wait and see because I don't remember at this point. Oh, I like that. Billiard the 4 off the stripe. Take the 4 and take it off of the 10 to go into the corner pocket. I really like that, John. I think that's a really good suggestion. I just don't remember if I did that or not. All right, what am I doing? Looks like I'm going to settle in on the 2 ball. I don't remember what I had planned. Well, maybe I do. Now that I did that, I think I do know what I have planned. Yes. So that means I decided that there's no way for me to break any of this stuff out. I'm not running the table, so I'm ducking. Little top left spin and play a safety like that. And let's see what my opponent decides to do. Because now my opponent has to kick at a ball, maybe disturb something. Otherwise, maybe I get ball in hand and I can really try to solve some problems after that. Let's see what my opponent does with this position that I gave them. They're coming to the table under my condition. I didn't make a mistake. Everything I did was on purpose. Okay, cue ball's coming around. Are we going to get a good hit? We're not. And he solves my 3 ball. So now my 3 ball is solved. So what else do I got? Still got the 5 ball that I got to worry about, but I can take ball in hand right now and shoot the 5 into the side pocket if I wanted to. But then what do I do with the 8 ball? Now, typically when you have ball in hand, I do like to advise that you should attempt to shoot the hardest ball on the table to play position on. Now, clearly that means that if there's balls that are in clusters, I'm not referring to shooting at balls that are in clusters, but I am saying that if you do identify that there are balls in clusters and you have ball in hand, maybe you want to be able to shoot at a ball that allows you to make that ball and drive the cue ball into the cluster in order to open up the cluster. In this case here, there really isn't that much of a cluster. I think the 1-7 combination is clear, so I'm not too worried about that. the 5 ball is my hardest ball on the table. I've got 2 different options that I can do. I can do the 5 in the corner, or I can do the 5 in the side. But then you heard me say earlier, even if I were to do that, what do I do with the 8 ball? Because the 8 ball is blocked by the stripe that my opponent used to make my 6 ball earlier. That's what makes that shot that my opponent did very smart. It's a very smart move. Puts all of us in a little bit of a predicament, because even my opponent has to deal with their ball, but this at least delays the game. What am I doing here? It looks like I'm going to shoot the 5 into the side pocket. Oh. What do y'all... Did you see what happened there? How many of y'all want to argue that this should be a foul? Right? I'm attempting to bridge over the 8 ball. Oops, and I accidentally touch it. I put it back where it is. Check with my opponent that it, you know, are you okay with where I placed it back? And then proceed to shoot. Right? Who's gonna say that that's a foul? Even if you don't play APA, let's say you're a BCA player, because is that a foul in BCA? And remember, we're not pros. This isn't a pro league. So don't attempt to look at this with a pro-like mentality where it's all ball fouls. Right? Because in the APA, accidentally moving a ball is not considered a foul. Now, accidentally moving a ball and the cue ball comes in contact with that accidental move ball, that is a foul. But in this case here, I accidentally moved the 8 ball. I stopped what I was doing. I attempted to move the ball back and then checked with my opponent, and everything is fine. BCA, I think, is very similar with that rule. I think the only difference is that before I move the 8 ball, I must check with the opponent, because I think at least the opponent does have the option to say move it back or leave it where it's at. In APA, there isn't that option. The ball must be placed back, and it just has to be agreed upon between the opponent and the player. Is the ball moved back exactly where we think it was? Whereas in BCA, I do believe, someone correct me if I'm wrong, if I would have moved that 8 ball without checking with my opponent first, that would have been a foul. Because as long as I checked with my opponent, they would say, leave it where it's at, or go ahead and put it back. Then everything is game from there. I would attempt to move it back, or I would leave it alone. So I already saw in the chat on what everybody thinks I'm about to do here, and they are correct. I'm going to attempt to shoot that 5 ball into the side pocket with enough draw, because I want the cue ball to draw back, hit the 8 ball, and then try to get my opponent's 14 ball out of the way. That is what I'm attempting to do here. And I mess up. I don't do it. I didn't hit it hard enough. And then look what happened. Like I almost severely got punished for that, because if I would have gotten stuck behind this ball here, I wouldn't be able to see my 4 ball. Okay, smooth roll the 4 ball into the pocket. Like I said, I do believe this 1-7 combination is on. Ooh, I like the way you think. I like the way you think. 14 ball is deep in that pocket. I could try to force the 8 ball through the ball. And like I said, the 1-7 combination is on. All right, so what am I looking at? I'm looking at it. I'm thinking about it. That's what I did when I laid my cue down. Like, do I want to attempt to force that 8 ball through the 14 ball? So let's do a little draw back to get position on the 3. And there I am, looking at it again. But then I spot another option. Does anybody see it? Right there. What am I thinking about right there? This is why you're always I always recommend that, you know, unless you already have a run out in mind, when you're trying to figure out what you're going to do on the table, try your best to look for at least 2 options, at least 2 options. And then from the 2 options, figure out which one you're going to be more successful at. Because here, I'm thinking about making my 3-ball, and I want my cue ball to come down here, hit the rail, knock that ball in, and then work its way around the 8-ball. Womp, womp, womp. But I don't do it. I don't do it. I hit the rail too soon. See, right there, you can see my indication of what I wanted to happen. So let's go back and look. This is what I was hoping was going to happen. Or at least what I was trying to get to happen. Cue ball is going to come down here. It's going to glance off the rail. The moment it glances off the rail, it hits the 14 ball. And because of the angle, it'll naturally go all the way around the 8-ball, and I would have a free shot to go into the pocket. And you can even see it when I come right around over here. Watch me point onto the table what I wanted to happen. Right there. Just didn't do it. So, nice thin cut shot. 8-ball here into the lower left corner pocket. And I actually missed that so badly, I'm surprised that it fell. Look at this. This is where if I have any trolls or haters in my chat, they're gonna let me know how big these buckets are, because I hit the rail right here, a diamond and a quarter away, and the ball still fell in. Now, how big are these pockets? Well, these are pro cut pockets, 4.5 inch corner pockets with 5 inch side pockets. I love this comment. That ain't a real diamond. That's a feel-good diamond table. I love that comment. All right. So at least with that thin cut shot, that forgiving thin cut shot that I have, I'm now on the hill 4-1. Let's see if I can close it out with an 8-ball break. That 8-ball is moving, but it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. All right, so what did I make? 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't see the 5-ball. 6, 7, and then the 8. Got the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I'm solids, right? Immediate attention on solids. Maybe even this guy. I definitely got to figure out how to get to those as soon as possible. So, Dustin, thank you so much for the 100 stars that you sent me on Facebook. I really do appreciate that. I got to figure out how to get, like, I don't know why I didn't get an alert. I should have gotten alerted that you sent me some stars. I don't know why it didn't work. I got to figure that out. But Dustin, thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. I might be able to do this. Let me show you what I thought was supposed to happen. So let's go here and here, because I should be able to, actually I'm going to pause this. I'm going to go here. All right, I do believe this is what you should have seen. Or I should have been alerted like this. And I don't know why it's not working. So I'm gonna have to figure out why. All right, so from here, I start with the 3-ball. I rail the. I've actually gotten to the point to where I get frustrated if I rail balls in like that. I'm trying to get to the points where I'm doing that less and less and less. But it looks like I have an opportunity to try to open the one ball here. We can see that I've got an angle on the 7 ball to go into the side pocket. I'm going to try to drive my cue ball up to here, I think. This is probably just going to be with some topspin. There we go. Got the 1 ball open. Now, if this 2 ball goes in the side, then I might be okay. I might be okay from here. And I guess it does because I'm shooting at it. Looks like I've got a little bit of draw on the cue ball. Okay. I mean, unless I screw up, I should be good from here. Shoot the 1, come down for the 4 ball. A little bottom left, maybe? Uh-oh. That's a bit of a mistake. I'm waiting on something. I want to know if this is working also. Is or is not working. Yeah. See? That's what the Facebook stars should have done. Loping CSF, thank you so much for sending me a $5 super chat just to see if my YouTube alerts are working. And my YouTube alerts are working. So I don't know why my Facebook alerts aren't working. I'm going to definitely have to figure that out. Maybe I can get Post Up to help me figure that out. Now, I don't think this is the position that I was wanting to get. I mean, I was trying to play position for the 4 ball, but I ran into the 9. So I have to go from the 4 to the 6. This is definitely going to be done with some bottom left spin because I want to try to get the cue ball somewhere over in this area here to shoot the 6 into the side pocket. I think. Ah, but I don't cut the 4 ball enough. Look, cue ball's where I thought it was going to be, but I end up blowing the shot. So who cares? All right, so my opponent gets to come to the table. What do we do from here? I see an immediate safety that my opponent can play. What's my opponent think they're doing here? Oh, he starts with the 12 ball. Okay, good shot. I didn't even see that. What does my opponent do with this particular area? $13 in the side. Okay, this works. It'd be great if you can get this 9 ball out of the way. That way the 10 ball and the 14 ball can go in. Oh, holy crap. I'm terribly sorry if I mispronounced this. Ramanju Basu. I probably just butchered that and I do apologize. Thank you so much for the, I believe that's $2.79 Canadian super chat. And you're saying, thanks for taking the time to do this. I really do appreciate that. Oh, if one of these go here in the side pocket, then this should be a solved rack. He's thinking about it. Is it the 14 or the 10? Oh, it's the 10 ball. Yeah, this is a solved rack from here. I think this This is a tricky layout. Yeah, shooting the 9 ball into the side pocket, the cue ball has to come down, but he soft rolls it, so this works. Can cut the 14 into the top right corner pocket. 15 ball would have to go into the same pocket, but then where do we play the 8? Good shot. We just one rail this towards the middle of the table? Nope, we two rail this. Ooh, but that's like a 50-yard line shot. Where do we play this, folks? Do we cut it in the side or do we play it in the corner? He's cutting it in the side. Oh, and he doesn't cut it enough. He doesn't cut it enough. Let's see here. So I like everything. Well, actually, I want to go here because here the rack is solved. Does everybody agree with what we saw here? He plays the 9 into the side pocket. He soft rolls the 9 ball into the side pocket, rolls to about right here to where he has to cut the 14 into the corner, and he draws the cue ball. I don't remember exactly where he was from the 14 ball. Oh, I almost drew exactly where he needed to be. So here's where he's at on the 15 ball. And he does attempt to two-rail it, but he must not have hit it hard enough because I think it just would have been so much easier if the cue ball was like right here. It doesn't even have to be straight in, so that way you can just shoot the 8 ball into the side pocket. But I mean, we would wonder, you know, is everybody okay with this starting pattern, starting with the 9? Clearly, I'm not going to suggest starting with the 14 ball because it doesn't look like it goes anywhere. So you're either starting with the 9 or you're starting with the 15. Right, and who would start with the 15 from here? Looks like we've got Loping CSF and Craig both agree that maybe starting with the 15 ball. But what would y'all do? Because I'm not disagreeing with y'all. It's just what would y'all do? 15, then what? Right? It's hard to say whether or not can you soft cut this 15 ball into the corner pocket. Cue ball clearly is going this way. Once it hits the rail, where does it go from there? Can you hit it soft enough to where it basically returns right back where you are? Or do you try to land right in the middle of these two, or do you go all the way through? What do we think? See, so we got Dustin Dover. He is thinking, and even Chris Schneider says the same thing. It looks like we're trying to play the 15 here, then we're going to play the 9, maybe the 4 over here, and then the 8 ends up going over here. So you end up looking at something like this, maybe. Something like that, maybe. I do see a suggestion for some bottom left on the 15 ball. Where does the bottom left take us? Are we thinking of trying to do something like this? We do bottom left and come out like this for the 14 ball on the side? Maybe. I mean, I've got nothing wrong with that. So that we can do something like this. See, there's always more than one way to do things. But I think we all can agree that there is an optimal way to play this. The one that has the highest percent chance of being successful on more than one occasion. Right? Especially clearly every one of these options is dependent upon your skill level. Right? But if we were to just generalize everything, which one do we think is probably going to be the most successful? This one kind of looks promising. Even if you can't two-rail it. I know the second line here is kind of unreasonable of what I drew. I get that. But even if you just do this, straight over into that area. Go straight over here, like this. Seems reasonable. But then no matter what, once we got here, let's go with what my opponent decided here. Once we got here, what do? He attempted to do this, and it looks like he fell short because he landed somewhere right around here when clearly I think he wanted to be somewhere right here. I would think. All right, so this movement here had a failure point. I would think this movement does not have a failure point. If he had just one-railed it towards the foot spot. Right? There's no failure point from here. Even if you hit just a little too hard, you end up right here. The only thing that creates a failure point is if you blast the darn ball and the cue ball comes all the way down here. But why would you do that? Like, you're asking for trouble. Soft hitting this ball in, coming one rail off the short rail and back towards the middle of the table, at least grants you 2 possibilities to be able to make the 8 ball, whether it's going to be into the corner pocket or the side pocket. I think between this route and the 2 rail route, I would have to say I think the 1 rail route is more successful. So if I were to stick with my opponent's plan, this is where I would make the change and just 1 rail the cue ball like this. And most likely play the 8 ball like that. But from this position, I don't know if that 8 ball is cuttable into the side pocket from this angle. I mean, my opponent clearly thinks it is. I can't tell from the camera angle. That looks very, very thin. And I mean, he did just barely miss it. So maybe it was cuttable. It just caught the point. Now, he did end up making my ball. And I'm fairly flat on this ball, like almost straight in. What do we do from here? Since I'm almost straight in, I do have the rail that I can play with. Right? Again, what do? I go and look and see what my next shot is going to be. I'm clearly thinking I'm going to get my cue ball somewhere right around here. But the only way to do that is to play the cue ball off of the rail. Like this. I just wish the cue ball would have rolled more. But I do like what you're about to see here. Watch the delivery of this shot. This shot I do remember. Do you see all of the pause that I put into my final stroke there? Like, the shot is well over, and I make sure I stay down and finish the shot. Got the cue ball to stop perfectly and was able to take that match down 5-1. Now, I would have to say, though, that when my opponent was at the table, I don't think there was really a whole lot that was wrong with, or I try not to use the word wrong. There wasn't a whole lot that I would disagree with the way my opponent attempted to play some of the patterns, but we did see where we did offer an alternative route that we all seem to agree might have allowed him to be a little bit more successful. So if my opponent does happen to catch wind of this stream and sees this match, hopefully the advice that we hear in this one can obviously help him out. And then we still saw even some of the times that on some of the shots that I had where, like, it looks like I had everything planned out, but you know, if I end up missing by missing a transition or just missing a shot, those are always things that I need to be working on. But when I execute a shot that looks like this, a nice smooth pullback, an accelerated follow through, staying down on my shot and trying to stay perfectly still to be able to nail a shot like that, that is definitely a feel-good shot. So I hope everybody enjoyed that match as we switch back over to this. And I'm just going to take a small break here. Where did the 0 go? Why is this not working? Oh, there's the 0. But why did it disappear? And then now it has a 0. Adam Marr, thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. I really do appreciate it. Oh, which, by the way, I can't believe I didn't even mention this. A lot of y'all might be wondering about 100,000 subscribers. I just got confirmation that my plaque is on the way. I have a USPS tracking number. It is on the way. When it gets here, that's when I will do a live stream giveaway, unboxing that plaque, and then announcing all the different prizes that I'm giving away for us for being able to acquire over 100,000 subscribers, which I owe all the thanks to all of y'all for following me in this journey that I've been doing here. It is on the way. Hopefully, in the next week or so, that's when we're finally going to celebrate it. And I think I had mentioned about this, but then forgot to finish what I meant to say about this, the ICA training system. I currently have a giveaway going on for that, and I am long overdue to announce the winner. So this is how this is going to work. If you go over to my community, this is only on YouTube. So if you're watching on Facebook, you need to come over to YouTube to see this, because I'm only doing this on YouTube. If you go over to my community tab, I do believe it's the latest post. Let me double check. Yes, it's still the latest post. If you go to my community tab on my YouTube channel, there is a post talking about how I am giving away an ICA training system. Because if you remember what I said at the very beginning, I was gifted the ICA training system by the owner. I just had to buy a projector. So I am paying that forward. So that way a lucky subscriber, YouTube subscriber, this is not for Facebook, but a YouTube subscriber can have their own ICA training system. However, I'm paying it forward by buying the ICA training system. I am not buying a projector because I had to buy the projector. So if you have a home table and you're interested in wanting to own your own ICA training system, go over to my YouTube community tab. Check out the post that is there. It is a contest because you have to shoot a drill that I came up with. It's called my climbing down the tree drill. You can see that there are already people that have submitted entries to be entered as a possible winner. So you can click on the links that are in that post as well, so you can see how the table is supposed to be set up. There is a picture that shows you how it's supposed to be set up and the rules of how you're supposed to try to run them out. Because you always have to try to hit a side rail as you transition from one ball to the next in order to climb down the tree, because it's in a tree-like formation, a triangular formation. As long as you submit a video to me and I verify you're a subscriber, you'll notice that there's, like I said, there's a comment that shows a list of entries. I will add you to that list of entries. And I'm going to declare right now that this coming Sunday, which is what? What is this coming Sunday? This coming Sunday is the 17th. That's when the contest is over, and I'm going to pick a winner. So you practically have 6 days left. If you have not submitted a video to me to get a chance to be entered for a chance to win your own ICA training system, I suggest you do it if you want one. Now, what do you do with the projector, right? You have to be able to buy a projector. Well, I've told everybody before that I had to buy a projector that is actually more expensive than the ICA training system, the bundle itself, right? Because the bundle's not cheap either. But I had to get a more expensive one because of all the lights that I have in my garage. Because it makes it, the more lights you have around your table, it does make it a little difficult to be able to allow the projector to shine onto the table. So typically what you want is you want a projector that outputs more lumens than the lights that you have around the table. So if the projector outputs more lumens than the lights that are around your table, that allows the projection to be seen better on the table. If the lumens are about the same, that just means it'll just be more difficult to see, but it'll still be visible. You'll still be able to see it. So when I did a live stream demonstrating the ICA training system, I actually had to shut off some lights, and I had to use some studio lights to keep the garage a little bit lit so that way I can see the table, but you were able to see the projection system better on the table. So as far as what type of projector do y'all need? Well, it just really depends on how much lights you have around the table. And that would be your personal investment that you have to put into having an ICA training system, while I end up providing the rest. So now that that's out of the way, because I did forget about that. Okay, give me just a minute. I do need to take a bathroom break, and then we'll come back and review the next match. Ah, look who I have, everybody. Say hi. Does everybody remember Link? He's all fully grown now, but he's only 10. He's only 10 months. He's not even a year old yet. You don't even care. Look at the camera. Everybody wants to see you. Say hi. Don't bite me. He doesn't even care. But for those that don't know, this is Link. This is my miniature schnauzer that's biting my hand. That really doesn't even want to be here on stream though, because we got him when he was a puppy. He's only but he's only 10 months old now. He's not even a year old yet. All right, fine, get out of here. Oh goodness. And if y'all can hear me, oh, look what I got here. Don't you dare squirm. Oh, look what I got here. I got the big ball of floof. It's the Zelda. And you see, he doesn't care. He doesn't want to be in here either. But see, whenever you come on stream, I get like 1 million views, which I don't. Because right, everybody loves to see a cat. Right? Look, you don't even care either. Y'all are boring. Come on, get out. All right. All right, that was very anticlimactic. Oh, don't want my throat to get sore here. All the talking that I'm doing. All right. Nice little cough drop. Help soothe the vocals. Okay, let me set up the next match here. Oh, y'all are gonna love the beginning of this next match. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But before I get started on the next match, does anybody have any questions they would like to ask me? Typically, when I do take these breaks, I do try to answer a couple of questions. And then while we're at it, if you haven't done so already, please give the stream a thumbs up. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're at least still watching on Facebook, because I see I still have plenty of Facebook viewers, do consider sharing the stream to your Facebook profile so that way your friends and family can get to know me and perhaps become interested in playing pool, because that obviously helps grow the sport. And then, of course, consider sharing it to your favorite pool groups as well. And then, of course, if you like the stream on YouTube, that helps me out in the YouTube algorithm, so that way it pushes the stream out to more viewers to watch. So hopefully they can come watch this during the live stream, or at least discover it after the fact. Oh, okay. Here's a good question. Where am I going to put my plaque? That is a very good question. I honestly do not know. I don't know where I can put the plaque where it'll be visible on stream. I might be able to, like, I do have a shelf at the head end of the table where my Mosconi Cup jerseys are. So I might be able to put it there and have it standing up to where hopefully it's visible. That's probably at least where I might put it in my garage. Then, of course, if I put it in here somewhere, I can have it on display somewhere in the background. Gene Kelly, you want to know how many lumens do I have? Well, let me look. I can tell you that here in a second. Just a second. Mine, I thought I would have at least shown it here on the link. Mine is 3,800. And if I remember correctly, like I said, this one cost actually, it looks like it went up. Let me look at my order. I'm looking on Amazon, by the way, because I did buy my projector off of Amazon. Yeah, when I bought it new, it was $849 plus tax, and then I had to get a mount to go along with it to be able to mount it onto the ceiling. but it looks like the prices on this one have gone up. I mean, I do see one here that's for $549. Let me see how many lumens this one just outputs. Oh, maybe this is the one that I bought then. Because the one that's for $549 also outputs 3,800 lumens, which is good. That's more than enough, at least for my setup that I have. But you'd have to ask yourself, what type of lights do you have around your table? And then what lumens do they output? And just make sure that you get a projector that outputs more lumens. And then you should be fine. So there's not like a real like base answer that I can give you on like which one are you supposed to get. All right. Let's see here. Oh. S3204, you're saying, how do you find straight pull helps my 8-ball, 9-ball, and 10-ball games, if at all? I think it helps in the aspect of, like, especially in straight pull, there's a lot of tight movements that you have to make because, you know, as you if you don't smash the rack open and you gradually open it, in order to be able to pick out the balls that are around the rack that have slowly moved their way, you have to do a lot of tight cue ball movements. Now, generally speaking, all those tight cue ball movements that you do translate to 8-ball. Because a lot of times in 8-ball, you want to do a lot of very tight movements. You know, minimize your cue ball movement. As Tony Robles once told me, you minimize your cue ball movements to maximize your run out potential. But when you play rotational pull, it's hard telling whether or not if you're going to be able to minimize your cue ball movement, if any, right? Because there's going to be a lot of times where you have to transition the cue ball from one end of the table to the other, from one side of the table to the other. So there's usually going to be can be a lot of big cue ball movements, and then sometimes if the layout is good enough, then there could be some very minimal cue ball movements as well. And so I do tend to think that in straight pull, there's a lot of tight cue ball movements, and there's very little big cue ball movements. There's more tight movements than there are big movements. That's the same thing in 8-ball, as far as I'm concerned. Whereas rotational games like 9-ball and 10-ball, there's more big cue ball transitions than there are tight movements. So I think they kind of go hand in hand. So at least in straight pull, especially if you're just playing it a lot, you're just shooting a lot of balls to go along with it. And so, of course, the more balls that you're shooting at, then over the course of time, the better that you're hopefully getting. That's at least how I would put it. Loping CSF, so I should have it like just dangling here, like I'd be the next Flavor Flav, but instead of a clock, I'd have my select plaque just dangling from a neck. I would definitely have to see like how heavy the plaque is going to be before I even consider doing something like that. Hey, now, you're asking me at the Texas Open, did they tell me in advance with the time of the matches? Yes, they did. They were also using the digital pool tournament bracket, so we would get text messages when our matches were coming up. It was just unfortunately, it was unfortunate though that they were running severely behind when they did the tournament, because when I had finished my first match, my second match was scheduled to be at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I started at 10 in the morning, lost my first match, and then my next match was supposed to be scheduled at 5 o'clock. And then it got delayed all the way up until like 8 or 9 o'clock. And then once I finished that match, then we had the 1 a.m. Match to go along with it. So even though they do show the times, those times can be pushed. They're not guaranteed. Throttle lock. I know exactly what you're talking about. I have not tried it yet with this gnarly 90 package that the the ICA training system just recently released. I actually need to turn mine on and receive the update so I can see what those are and be able to show off what those are. I have a few videos in mind on long form videos that I want to attempt to record with the ICA training system. Haven't had time to do it. You know, I barely have time to do this live stream here. Oh, be happy. This was back in high school. I'm currently what, 42 years old. I was started going to church when I was in high school. I want to say I was either a sophomore or a junior when I got baptized. I honestly do not specifically remember, but I was in high school when I got baptized. And then now, yes, that's exactly why the matches or why there were delays in matches, because some matches were just taking much longer than expected. I mean, imagine how long a race to 9 could possibly take if you go hill to hill. I don't remember. I thought someone said what they were estimating the matches would be, and it was basically a low estimate that they thought the matches would take, and then of course that ended up causing the delays. Enough of that so far, because after I do this next match here, I'll do another break and then answer some more questions. So let's switch on over to the next match. All right. Oh, I didn't reset the scores. There we go. Okay, so if you look at the race, I'm playing up against a skill level 5 in this one here. So this is a race to 5-3. My 5 to their 3. Now, of all of the matches that y'all have ever seen me talk about, matches that I've won and even matches that I've lost, I don't think that you've ever really seen like any type of dramatic reaction out of me on any type of particular shot, whether it's a great shot or if my opponent gets lucky, especially if my opponent gets lucky, because I'm off camera, so you can't even see what I'm doing if I'm off camera. But watch this match here. You're gonna get a kick out of this one. Let's see who breaks first. Looks like it's me. All right, let's put the asterisk next to my name. Now remember, this is still during the session where I am trying to go for the 8-ball break. So I'm hitting the ball that's in the second row, a little bit of bottom left spin on the cue ball. I scratched. And did y'all see that? Here, let me replay that for you in case you missed it. I scratched, and the 8-ball is tracking towards the corner pocket. This is the 8-ball right here. And I see that 8-ball coming towards me. And I take that 8-ball and accidentally jump it off the table. Because I was meaning to try to shoot it at this corner pocket, but I hit it at an angle to where I essentially caused the cue ball to jump, or caused the 8-ball to skip across the table. It catches the rail and whee, just flies right off the table. So guess what that is for me? That's a loss. Making the 8-ball, making the 8-ball on the break and scratching is an automatic loss. Whereas if I would have made that 8-ball and kept the cue ball on the table, I would have won. So instantly, I'm down 1-0, and I was not a happy camper when that happened. I had to go like walk down towards the other end of the. There's like 4 tables here. You currently can only see 2. There's 2 more further up. The cue ball or the 8-ball is all the way at the other end of the room. I had to walk over there and get it. So yeah, I was not a happy camper when that happened. Which is probably the most reactive you might have ever seen me on stream. So now my opponent gets to break. Okay, so this looks like a dry break. So now I come to the table and pretty much rinse and repeat everything that I talked about. In this case here, since it's an open table, I look to see where every ball is at and decide whether or not if I want to choose solids or stripes. Based on, the number of clusters, and are there balls that I can shoot in to be able to deal with the clusters? So like if I wanted to choose stripes, how am I going to deal with this cluster right here? I have to take that into consideration if I want to know whether or not if I want to shoot it. But it looks like I'm going to settle in on solids as I attempt to shoot the 4-ball. Looks like I didn't do a whole lot of cue ball movement, so I must have either gotten position for this 1 or for this 6. And I have to figure out what am I going to do with this 2-3. I'd be curious because since my cue ball is closer to the rail, will I attempt to shoot the 1 ball and draw the cue ball into the 2 and the 3 to possibly try to separate them? It does look like I'm hitting slightly below center. I think the only problem with this shot here, never mind, I didn't do it. I was going to say, the only problem with running into the 2 and the 3 is if I push one of them over to the short rail here and end up basically making them worse. But now it looks like I'm shooting the 7. And I would have to think I'm done. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to attempt to do from here. I would have to play some sort of safety. Let's see. I see that I got draw on the ball. What in the world could I be doing? Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, never mind. I blasted that 5-ball into the side pocket. Broke the 6 out, but now what? 2-6 combination. I guess I'm still upset from the 8-ball break, and I'm just in aggressive mode here. So I'm going for a 2-6 combination. 6-ball to go to the side pocket. It's like a little bit of draw. There we go. Now my turn ends. So the 2 and the 6 are now in favorable positions, but my 3-ball is not. But I might be able to use my 2-ball to break out my 3-ball if I'm given the correct angle. So now for my opponent, who is a skill level 5, she needs to take into consideration what is she going to do with this. Most of the time that I've seen from skill level 5s and below, they don't take that stuff into consideration. They typically, what I've seen, if anybody is aware of other players that don't do this, feel free to let me know in the chat. But typically, I've seen that they can shoot balls in, and they're good at shooting balls in, but they don't take into consideration at first the trouble spots that they have. They end up dealing with them after the fact, which usually could end up causing a loss of game. Because we saw, let's go back, my opponent here immediately starts with this 14 ball, trying to cut it here into what we'll call our top left corner pocket. Undercuts the ball, and if she would have made it, she's got position for this 9 ball to go over here. And then from the 9 ball, I'd be willing to bet that these are the balls that she's going to attempt position on, and it'll end up where this cluster here will probably be the last shooting with. That is very common from what I've seen in my area. And typically I do try to point it out to some of my other league players, like, this is not the best way that you would want to be able to do stuff, and leave your issues for last. Because then you end up having to, like I said, chase after that ball, and if you're or balls, and then if you're up against a knowledgeable player, they won't allow you to be able to shoot those shots. And as Fuggles says, the miss that she did granted me position on the worst ball that I have. What difference does it make if I don't make my ball? Right? Because I was able to take my ball down, and then I missed a rather simple shot. But do you see how quickly my opponent comes to the table and starts making decisions? Okay, so from the 15, she now has position on the 12. I wonder when she's going to shoot this 10 ball. And then again, when are we going to deal with this stuff? I'm guessing she tried to force the cue ball into the rail to have it bounce out for the 9. Not entirely sure. I'm able to shoot the 2 ball into the side pocket. Please don't get flat on the rail. All right, there we go. Am I just going to stun back up towards the other end of the table? Looks like that's what I do. Just don't scratch. And then we're good. Position on the 8 ball. 8 in the corner. Now, what I don't remember is what did I do here? Meaning that after making the 8 on the break and scratching, looks like I am going to try. Looks like I am going to try again, because typically when something like that happens to me, I don't try again. Especially in the case of my opponent only needs 2 more games to win their match. And did y'all see that? Look at this. My breaks aren't doing very well tonight because watch the cue ball. I'm going to play this in slow motion. Right here. I lose control of the cue ball because hadn't it been for this 1 ball, the cue ball would be going back towards the back of the rack again. And then all this ping-ponging around, and look, like, I don't like watching my cue ball do that. And then, of course, I dislodged the 8 ball again. So, like, if I remember correctly, after that, I don't think I tried to do the second ball break again. I think I go back to middle breaking, but let's find out. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a rack or two that I don't do the second ball break. But what did I make on the break? I don't see the 1 ball. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's a stripe that's missing as well. I can't tell what ball this is. So I'm going to guess that it's a 12 ball. So we do have an open table again. Whether it's a dry break or balls made on the break. So immediately we have this cluster. Well, I mean, not really including the 7 ball, but maybe this right here. We got to figure out what to do. Now it looks like, let me back up here. Right there, I'm checking to see if the 11 is visible in order to make into this corner pocket, because if it is, if I can get the position on it, then I can break out the 9. So does that mean I'm settling in on stripes? It looks like I am. Okay, that ball goes down. So now I'm officially stripes. Oh, if I'm doing that, that means I'm playing the 11 off of the 3. So I'm playing a carom here. I've got some draw on the cue ball. Oh, but I missed the carom. Never mind. All right, so little issue here for me. I don't know if there's enough room behind this stripe to be able to make the 9 ball. My opponent's got a fairly decent table to deal with. Plays the 3 into the corner, so that looks good. This is the 8 ball here, so we might have a small window that we have to try to get the 6 ball through. Okay, as the 5 ball goes down, looks like we're coming up for the 7. Are we getting position for the 2 next? Well, not quite, since we accidentally bumped into it. I don't think that was intentional. Ooh, okay. Cue ball positioning here is at least decent, as my opponent broke out her 2 ball and the 4 ball. So everything looks okay for at least for my opponent. My concern now is going to be my 13 ball, because it's blocked by the 6. No other option but to start with the 11. More than likely just roll forward, maybe to get position on the 9. Oh, never mind, a stop shot, so I can deal with the 13 ball. What did I just get done talking about? When you identify a troubled ball, and you're in position to deal with it immediately. Now, if I don't deal with this by missing, then of course I'm risking losing the game. So stop shot on the 11. That allows me to see the 13 ball, so I should be shooting that. I'd be willing to bet that I'm going to try to get my cue ball to do this or something similar to it with some left spin. Or, oh, never mind, right spin for the same reason. Get position on this 9 ball. So never mind, I did it with right spin. Try to do this. And now I should be able to shoot the 9 ball. But it doesn't matter since I missed the ball. But this is also kind of a safety option as well, right? Because look at the position my opponent has to be able to shoot at her balls. She's looking at the 6. Bank shot on the 6 ball. It's about the only option that she had. Might have gotten a lucky leave. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see the 9 ball or not from here. Well, I have some draw, so can I see the 9 ball? Did I hit the 14 first? I mean, it doesn't matter if I did or if I didn't because it's not a foul. I am stripes. Look at that. I grazed the 14, which means then I must have, I wonder if I hit the rail, grazed the 14 and possibly hit the rail, then hit the 9 in. Yeah, that's definitely what happened because of the way the cue ball reacted. So this is I got a little lucky here, I would have to say, because right about here, I've grazed the 14. It might be difficult for y'all to be able to see on stream, but I can see here clearly in the video that right here I've hit the 14. And then here I must have hit the rail because the way the cue ball reacts from here, going back that way, tells me that I hit the 9 ball afterwards. But I was able to make it. Oh, and in case everybody's wondering, here's one of the other onboard shirts. This is from my team 8 Ball Physics. So this is Monday Night League. This is when I played League on Monday nights. So not like, well, you can't even see the shirt now because of how small the window is, but this is another design. We came up with the logo, which is, basically like an atom, and inside of the atoms are some pool balls with the 8 ball in the middle. And then our team name was called 8 Ball Physics. So from here, it looks like I'm playing a 14-13 combo, just a soft roll. So that way the 14 ball replaces the 13 ball. And I'm betting that 15 ball is going to go into the same pocket. As you can see, I just moved the cue ball to come on the other side of the 15 ball. I used left spin so that way I can cut the angle down. If I didn't use left spin on this shot, when you look at this, if I didn't use left spin, then the cue ball would naturally do something like this and come further away. The left spin breaks this angle and pulls the cue ball at least a little bit closer, making the shot easier. Right? Because I think we all can agree that the shot is easier from here than it would be from here. See that? Without the left spin, the cue ball would have been over here. And I still would have had a shot. It just would have been a harder shot. Craig, I will be getting the newer shafts to actually try out. Now, these shots are always tricky for me because I know I'm going to run into that 2 ball. The question is, which side? And then where does my cue ball go after that? Talk about luck, right? Talk about luck. All right, so let's look at the cue ball reaction. See the cue ball reaction? That means I'm actually hitting it like this. That cue ball has turned its way loose. I've hit the 2 ball. I've hit the 4 ball. The 2 ball came and hit the 6 and the 8 and managed to push things out in the open so much to where I have a free shot at the 8 ball. all luck at that point. At the very least, me making my ball was at least something skillful, but everything after that, complete and utter luck. Getting that free shot on the 8-ball like that so I can go up 2-1. The position that I got on there was luck. And also do notice, at least on this match here, I am marking the pocket with a personal object. Because remember, on the previous match, all we did was call the 8-ball. Yeah, see, you see it? Did y'all see that? I start with the cue ball there, and then I said, well, you know what? Maybe not. Let's go to the middle of the table. Well, Goba44, I'm sure you've heard of the phrase. I think even Efren has said this before. The better I get, the luckier I also get. Very common theme that goes along with it. So I think here, this is the pop break that I'm attempting to do. And even with the pop break, I almost lost control of the cue ball. But I also broke dry. So now my opponent gets to come to the table. Oh, there we go. That's the saying that I meant. The more I practice, the luckier I get. Okay, so my opponent likes stripes. She takes down the 15 ball. Stripes actually look okay to me with the exception of the 9 ball. So I'm curious to see what my opponent's going to do with that. I did see a comment earlier that it was wondering whether or not if my opponent is actually playing position because it doesn't appear to be. I would venture to say that she is playing position. She is just playing position from a rolling cue ball. So she doesn't it does appear that she doesn't attempt to try to control the cue ball with like side spins or anything. She just basically hits the cue ball slightly above center and rolls the cue ball around and has a decent understanding of where a rolling cue ball will go after contacting an object ball and plays position off of that. I know that specifically because I have a player that does the same exact thing. She currently does not use any types of side spins unless we try to get her to use one during a timeout. But besides that, she's always hitting the cue ball slightly above center with and producing a rolling cue ball and has a decent understanding of where the cue ball might go from there, which means she knows her next shot's going to be maybe a long, difficult shot, but she knows she's going to have a long, difficult shot. And I do think that my opponent is doing the same thing here. All right, so here I think I tried to break out this cluster here when I shot the 3 ball. Let's go back and actually take a look at it. Yeah, definitely attempt to try to break out the cluster with some top left spin, and I ended up trapping my cue ball instead, so that definitely doesn't help. I think the 5 ball is also gone. So what in the world do I do from here? All right, this has got to be a safety of some sort. If I'm cutting the 1 ball like this, I must be trying to send the 1 ball down table. Don't scratch, though. All right, yeah, so a little bit of a distance safety here. I mean, my opponent's got a duck that she can possibly shoot at here with this stripe being so close to the corner pocket, but I've at least created some distance. All right, we're in position to take that 9 ball, so this would be, I think this would be the opportune moment to do it, but she passes up on it. Right, rolling cue ball shot there. I think that would have been an opportune moment to go ahead and shoot the 9 ball. Going for a bank shot. So you can see, just to further clarify, watch that cue ball. It's just, after it hits an object ball, all it does is roll forward. And actually, this is what you're seeing here is how I teach most of my beginning teammates, my teammates that are just beginners at the game. I teach them to use a rolling cue ball and study how that cue ball behaves from a rolling cue ball. Because if they don't know what that cue ball does all by itself, then it's difficult for me to teach them what they can make the cue ball do. Because if you don't know, for example, that from a rolling cue ball that you could scratch, well, then you're not even going to know how you're supposed to control the cue ball from scratching. And then sometimes there's the misjudgment of they think the rolling cue ball is going to actually cause them to scratch, so they try to control it, and with the way they try to control the ball, they still end up scratching. Now, the 9-ball here is going to become an issue for my opponent there. That was a great shot, though. Nicely done. Now here, this is where I'd be concerned. You make this 13 ball and the cue ball rolls into the 8 and accidentally knocks the 8 ball in. Is my opponent aware of that? Oh, she avoids the 8. Never mind, it rolls into my 6 ball. Now, what I would wonder is, did she know whether or not if the 9 ball passes the 4 ball? If she does, and this is the shape that she played for, great. But did it though? Like, I can't tell. It doesn't, from here, it doesn't look like the 9 ball passes by. And if she would have known that ahead of time, she would have tried to maybe do something a little different. But considering that she cut the ball down and hit my 4 ball, I have to believe that she's trying to make the 9 ball here into the corner pocket. See, a move like that, unfortunately, opens up the entire table for me. So as long as I don't screw up, I should be able to finish the table from here. Okay, a little bit of a draw shot off of the 6 ball. Gets me position on, I believe that's the 4 ball. Maybe some bottom right to pull the cue ball back towards the middle of the table for a shape on the 1. Or shape on the 7. I would want to use the 1 ball as a key ball to the 8 ball. But I think in this position now, it doesn't matter. I can use the 1 as a key ball, or I can use the 7, because from here, yeah, it looks like I'm shooting the 1, because now, usually, if I had a better position on this 7 ball, I would probably end up taking the 7 ball. So that way I can try to get flat on this 1 ball and just stun out like this, and then shoot the 8 ball over here. But because of the angle that I have on the 7, what I can elect to do here now is play the 1 ball into the corner pocket, go 1 rail out like this, so that way I can play the 7 ball and do the same exact move to get position on the 8, like that. I'm pretty sure this is what my out is going to look like, or something similar to this. Okay, maybe not exactly to scale. All right, so let's get rid of this. And is it a straight drawback, or do I still use the rail? Oh, never mind. So I got flat on the ball, so I had no choice but to draw it back. So this didn't work either. I didn't get the best position on the 7 ball that I would have wanted. How many of y'all think this is a scratch shot? If I try to make the 8 ball, will I scratch? Well, apparently I do, because I'm banking it. I'm banking it for another reason as well. I banked it for two different reasons. One, because I thought the scratch was there. Or actually, you know what? Let me rephrase that. The scratch may not be there. I might be able to avoid it, but I think my concern is if I miss,